Hey, Sully, how's it going? Good morning.
Pretty good, man. Thanks for taking a few minutes and taking a break for the film room.
No problem, no problem.
But hey, that's a big part of it. We were talking in the last segment about what it takes to rebuild a high school football program. You see some programs around the area trying to go through that where maybe they lost a big group of seniors from a good team, or maybe they haven't had success in a couple of years and trying to build that winning attitude. What's it take? You came into a situation where the Greyhounds hadn't won a game in a couple of years, and now last year you went 4-6 and almost made the playoffs. So a big culture change there at Pleasantville in terms of going from not even having hope of winning a game to, hey, let's see if we can make the playoffs. How did you handle that, and what's the process? Take us through the process of what it takes to change that mentality.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing and what we want to model our program on is, off-season strength and conditioning. I mean, that's where we're going to see who's serious about, contributing to the program. And these guys have taken the off-season very seriously. Very few guys missed the weight room. We've been running and conditioning since January, lifting. So that's really where it all started. Then the second point was just, really trying to create game-like situations in practice and competitiveness in practice to where these guys can really get after it and learn how to compete, learn how to get through some adversity in practice. And we're hoping that translates over to the games this year. We got a really good group of young guys. We only have a handful of seniors this year, some really talented seniors. And then, a majority of our team is still juniors and sophomores. So we feel really good about the direction of the program. Our numbers are up. Everybody's starting to buy in. We're getting good leadership. And, but it all goes back to, the off-season strength and conditioning program, because that's where, programs are built and sustained.
Coach, I guess when you're a high school football coach, you kind of have to be part psychologist, part motivator. There's a lot that goes into just in the daily conversation with the guys in the off-season and building up their confidence. Because if a player believes the coach believes in him, that goes a long way for a 16, 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I mean, these guys, they work hard, and we want to reward them for their work. And they know that if they come out and do the right things, not only are we going to compete, but we have an opportunity to win games. Like last year, like you said, we were one game away from the playoffs. And I think that goes a long way in them believing in the program, believing in us, believing in the system. And I think that's ultimately what leads to more guys wanting to come out and be a part of that, because they see, so it is a grind, and when you're going through two-a-days or they're long days or just a long practice session, and kind of like I said last year, these guys are playing one game a week and you're practicing 5 or 6 days a week. So it's a really big commitment, and, being a part of these guys' lives and getting to talk to them and know them on a personal level, they trust us, and that's kind of, we love that, because we have great relationships with these guys, and they know that they can come to us if it's something, on the field, off the field, and building that trust and that relationship with these guys goes a long way.
Coach, what was that first team meeting like when you introduced yourself to the team? Think back to that moment where you're looking out and you're seeing 30, 40 guys staring back at you, wondering what you're going to have to say about them or to them. What was going through your mind at that point?
Well, I mean, it was it was definitely fun for me, and I think the kids responded well. And I always look back to one of the questions that they asked, and it was like, what are your expectations for us? And I thought it was a great question, and, our expectation for them was to compete on a year-in and year-out basis. And, coming from the two programs that I was able to coach for, a bad season was still in the playoffs and competing in the playoffs. And I think that's my answer to them was, a bad season, we're still in the playoffs. If we might not be a 1 or 2 seed or undefeated at that point, I said, a tough competitive season or a down year for us is we're still in the playoffs. And that's what we want to build this program up to, because ultimately, if they do what we think they're capable of doing, we can build and sustain a type of program here like that, where a down year we can still get in and still compete. And that's what we're working towards. So I always look back to that moment when I first met the kids, and that's something we're going to try to hang our hat on. And hopefully this year we're fortunate enough to get in, and we can start getting that ball rolling.
We're talking with Chris Sacco, head coach of the Pleasantville football team. Coach, what's the toughest thing about a rebuild project, or even a situation like, say, a situation like Cedar Creek's in, where you graduate, 6, 7, 8 guys that were really impact players for several years. I'm sure you went through that in your other programs you were coaching in. What's the challenge in that when you, like for Cedar Creek, to graduate Jesse Mills, a 4-year starter quarterback, Bo Melton, Owen Bowles, all these guys are Division I players. You graduating 4 or 5 Division I players. How do you rebound from that the next year?
Well, once again, I think it all goes back in off-season work and preparation, creating game situations in practice, because a lot of these guys that might have to step up don't maybe have as much game experience. So you need to kind of create that in practice and get them, feeling kind of uncomfortable in practice and see how they respond, because, you only get 3-4 scrimmages top in the off season, and then it's time for these games to count. So you really want to create an uncomfortable situation for them, so when they get into a game situation, they kind of know how to respond, how their teammates are going to respond to them, and really how the coaches are going to respond to them. Because, like you said, you replace that many guys, that means a lot of these younger kids didn't get much game experience. So, I think just trying to replicate that throughout the off season and camp is probably the most important thing. So then when the lights come on Friday night, they can perform well.
Coach, all these coaches talk about culture, building a winning culture. Was there a moment for you when you felt like, okay, we're starting to get the culture I want around here? We're starting to, was there a moment where the whole team beat you out the practice field or anything like that?
Well, I mean, I really believe that this year, last year we took a great step forward, but I think this year we have guys arriving 30 to 40 minutes before, I asked them to be here. And I think that, to me, sends the message that these guys are serious about winning. They're serious about getting better. They're serious about the program, because they're not just strolling up, when it's time to practice. They're getting here. They're getting ready. They're asking questions. And I think, throughout this whole off season, like I said, guys didn't really miss the weight room. Guys were on time. Unless they were staying after school for help, they were in the weight room on time. They're at practice on time. And I think that is the culture changer that we want, because, I'm a big proponent of time. I have 3 kids at home. Our coaches have kids. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be starting practice 20 minutes late and then being out there an extra half an hour. So that's kind of what we stress to these guys: is get here, let's get our work done, let's get on time. It doesn't have to be an all-day thing, but we have to get done what we have to get done. And if you're here on time and prepared, then there won't be any issues. And we're starting to really see that these guys are here, taking the initiative, getting here, and they're helping each other, which to me is the biggest thing. We have linemen or skill guys pulling younger guys aside and showing them how to do things. And to me, that shows how far these kids have come in our program in the last couple of years, that now they feel comfortable enough in the system, the program, and the leadership that they're taking to help us kind of coach these younger guys too, to speed their process up.
So you don't want to get chewed out by the head coach at home when you get home late, then? Is that right?
That's right. She does a lot, so I got to have her back too.
Hey, everybody's got their head coach, right? Even you.
That's right.
Coach, I thought one of the real turning points for your program was prior to last season, that winter, when your current quarterback, LaQuay Adhill, kind of took it upon himself to get these guys together and almost in a Sandlot fashion, rainy, sideways wind February afternoons on Saturdays, just getting out there and running patterns and stuff like that, and shows what kind of a leader he is. Talk about him a little bit and how much he means to this program.
I mean, LaQuay's just a phenomenal person, number one. He's somebody who, as a sophomore, we kind of just threw in there our first year at quarterback, and starting the second game of the year, and he's been the starter every game since. He's learned the offense. He's a leader. He works his butt off in the weight room. The kid deadlifted 485 pounds. I mean, he works. So just the kid seeing that and seeing how hard he works and his work ethic. And, he was a captain last year as a junior, and just the type of person he is. He's a quiet, humble kid. He doesn't really trash talk. He goes about his business with his, kind of like tunnel vision, head down, straightforward, and he's just a great person, and he's the type of person that we were hoping we would get these guys to help turn the program around, and we've just been so fortunate to have him be as our quarterback for the last 2 years and the leader of his team, because the kids respond to him, the coaches respond to him, he responds to us, and it's just a great relationship all around.
Good stuff, Coach. You're up against the break. We appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll be talking to you week 1 of the playoffs.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Philly. Take care.
All right, man. Have a great weekend.
You too, buddy.
That was Coach Chris Sacco from Pleasantville High School.